Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here. Time for another Patreon sponsor, Blind Reaction. And this one comes to you courtesy of SA2K, who has requested that I react to Pretty Good Episode 3, Lonnie Smith from Jon Bois. So, Lonnie Smith. I think he's a baseball player. Yeah, this is kind of a departure for me. Not really what I would typically react to, but that's the joy of the Patreon requests, I guess. It can be anything, and today I guess it's a sports video. Yeah, add that to the list of things that I never thought I would be reacting to, alongside the history lessons and the full albums of music and just everything else that's come up these days. But I mean, it's fine. I am more of a sports fan than most of you probably realize. I do follow some sports. You might have seen me tweet about it on like Twitter and stuff, though not so much these days, because I don't really use Twitter all that much, except for just promoting my videos, but and retweeting fan art. But yeah, point is, I do like sports, and baseball is one of the sports that I do occasionally follow, if my team's good. But yeah, I don't really know much about Lonnie Smith. I think he was before my time, maybe. But I think I have heard the name, so I'm pretty sure I at least have that awareness. But I will be interested to see exactly what this is about. Could be interesting. So let's get started and find out. And here we go.
Hey, y'all. Before we get this one going, I just want to say two things right off the bat. First, these are true stories.
Okay.
Second, don't worry, nobody dies. All right,
well,
so
good.
if you had to name the most fascinating athlete of the 1980s, who would you go with? Who's your number one? Mine is Bo Jackson, the hero of my childhood.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
That,
He played two sports.
I would say Mike Tyson, second most interesting athlete of the 80s.
Pretty fair.
Third, you could put a whole lot of names there. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. I'm going to go with Lonnie Smith. This is kind of out there, and I know I have to explain myself.
Yeah, because I don't
know
think
where to start.
I don't think most people know much about him. I certainly don't. Oh. Okay. Oh wow. What? Pretty good. A show about stories that are pretty good. Fair enough. Yeah, this, oh. Okay. Well. Yeah, this could be an interesting story. Episode 3, Lonnie Smith.
The 1980s were sort of the golden age of the stolen base, and Lonnie Smith during that era was one of the fastest guys in baseball.
Okay.
In '82, he stole 68 bases.
Wow.
Also, Lonnie was pigeon-toed. In other words, when he ran, his toes kind of pointed inward toward each other, like that. Now, what this means is that sometimes his legs would get tangled up with each other, and when that happened, he ate shit. He became famous for it. He'd be running, usually so hard his helmet fell off, and out of nowhere, he'd just go flying like he just stepped on a bomb or something. As a rookie, Lonnie played for the Phillies, which meant the fanatic was always around, always clowning him for falling down. He'd stand behind Lonnie and stagger around and do all these pratfall routines, and Lonnie just kind of had to put up with it. Now, a lot of people ask, what is the Philly fanatic? Like, what is the Philly fanatic? Well, he's an asshole, that's right.
Okay.
Down a lot, he made falling down jokes. If you were big, he made fat jokes. Here, look, there's this cute little piggy chef in his little piggy chef hat. And the fanatic is shooting pork products at a pig. That's terrible. But the fanatic could act with impunity. Nobody stood up to him. Except for one man. It's 1982. Lonnie Smith plays for the Cardinals now, and during a game against the Phillies, the fanatic is clowning him relentlessly for the 100th time. And that, y'all, was one time too many.
As I leave, believe I'm stomping, but when I come back, boy, I'm coming straight out of Compton.
Okay, so he he beat up a mascot. Good start.
What's up? Tell them where you're from. Straight out of Compton.
Now let's be clear, this was not part of a bit. Okay, Lonnie was not playing around. The guy in the suit sprained both his ankles.
Wow.
He got fucked up.
No one ever realized that I was just naturally clumsy. You can ask my mother, my aunt who raised me. I was always knocking over things, falling. My little boy is the same way to this day. Of course, maybe the drugs probably added in some way. I'm not going to deny that.
See, baseball isn't really a sport. It's more of an excuse to get really messed up.
Wow.
Like, at first it was booze. Lots of players were alcoholics. In the 1800s, they'd actually have beer at third base, and if you made it to third, you'd have a beer, like right then and there on the field. Later, it was painkillers.
Should bring that back.
Greenies. Of course, it was Doc Ellis who pitched that no-hitter on LSD. In the 90s, it was steroids, and in the 80s, it was Coke. Baseball players loved Coke. In 1982, the Cardinals suspected that 3 of their guys were on Coke. They were absolutely right. Those 3 guys were Lonnie Smith, Joaquin Andahar, and Keith Hernandez. The 3 of them would get together and snort Coke on basically a daily basis.
Wonderful.
So let's see how that impacted their play. God bless you, baseball reference. Let's go to the 82 Cardinals and see who the best hitters were.
Wow.
Lonnie Smith and Keith Hernandez. Okay, let's see who the best pitcher was. By a huge margin, it's Joaquin Andahar. Well, the 82 Cardinals probably just weren't a very good team.
Or,
Oh, they won the World Series. Does Coke make you awesome at baseball?
I guess it does.
No. Nope. I'm putting my head in the sand. I refuse to make a 20-minute ad for cocaine.
Wow.
No, I'm not doing it.
If there are any kids watching, I don't want you coming and holler into your parents like, Mr. John told me doing coke's great. I'm going to go do coke now. No, that's not what I'm saying. I haven't finished the story yet. The bad part's coming, okay? Stick
Okay.
around. By the way, this song, you know who does it? Dr. Lonnie Smith.
Oh.
But this is a different Lonnie Smith.
Okay.
This Dr. Lonnie Smith is a well-known jazz organist who does some really cool far-out stuff. So, no, this is not the same Lonnie Smith. I mean, look at
That would be cool,
They're
though.
completely different. They don't look anything like it. Okay, they might be the same. This Lonnie Smith was not just another cocaine user. He might have done more coke than any other baseball player. On at least one occasion, he and Keith played a game, went straight to the hotel, did coke all night without sleeping, and went to the park the next day.
Wonderful. Oh.
So, back to that night in Philly. I think if a player beat down the Fanatic today, he'd definitely be taken out of the game, right? I mean, he'd probably be suspended, but Lonnie gets to play like nothing's happened. The next inning, he goes out to left field, but the fans at the vet are pissed off. They start throwing beer bottles at him. And this is 1982.
Understandable.
So glass bottles we're talking about. Kind of heavy, especially if they have beer in them. And fans were throwing them from the upper deck,
Wow.
at least 60 feet up. But Lonnie stares them all down. He doesn't take a step. He takes a bow. He stretches his arms out as though to say, go ahead and hit me. And somehow, they never hit him.
Wow.
Lonnie would later say it was a miracle he didn't get hit. He also doesn't remember whether he was strung out that night.
Probably.
He had so much coke
Probably.
back in that day that he doesn't really even remember. So consider this. Apparently 1.2 grams of coke are enough to cause a fatal overdose in a first-time user. A regular user who's built up a little bit of a tolerance can get away with snorting about 5 grams in one go. Lonnie buys 4 8-balls. That's almost 15 grams.
Wow.
He does all of it in one night. He's sitting on the floor all night shaking, hearing voices, his nose is bleeding. Over the last few months, he's felt his muscles deteriorate. He's such a mess.
Yeah,
these days.
yeah.
He's snorting in front of his kids.
I'm lucky I didn't die.
Later, he said he was
That's
amazed that he didn't die.
yeah.
The next day, he finally goes into manager Whitey Herzog's office and says he needs help. Whitey picks up the phone, gets him checked into rehab, and Lonnie, thank God, kicks the habit.
Okay, well that's good.
In 1985, Vince Coleman arrives on the scene and starts ahead of Lonnie in left field. The Cardinals don't really need him anymore, so they ship him across the state to Kansas City. Lonnie goes to the World Series with the Royals, where they beat the Cardinals. Now this is kind of crazy. Lonnie has now won his third World Series in 6 years, and they
Damn.
won all with different teams. In 80, he won with the Phillies, in 82 with the Cardinals, and now with the Royals. No other player in history ever before or since has done that. But Lonnie doesn't
Pretty
like
cool.
it in KC, and he's not shy about it. He was so sad about leaving St. Louis that he almost retired. He's kind of turning into a cranky pants at this point. He hates the American League. He says that
Yeah.
it's all weird. He actually openly states that he pays attention to his old division more than his new division. He's just having a bad time. And it just keeps staying bad. Lonnie's summoned to testify at the famous Pittsburgh drug trials. Around this time, Major League Baseball was really starting to crack down on its drug abuse problem. Lonnie, for his part, has been clean for a couple of years now. He hates coke, and so he tells them everything. As it turns out, lots of big-name players used coke. There was Dave Parker, Tim Raines, Dusty Baker, lots of them. Even the Pirates' parrot mascot was a major player. He dealt coke to a lot of players.
Okay.
The mascot was a dealer.
That's wonderful.
Lonnie kicked the habit years ago of his own accord, but Commissioner Peter Ueberroth suspends him anyway. It's a conditional suspension, meaning he can keep playing. He's just supposed to submit to regular drug testing. Ueberroth boasts that baseball will be the first drug-free sport.
Yeah.
He's like,
Good luck with that.
See, Lonnie wants to be tested. He wants to prove that he's clean, and he says it's all talk and the suspensions aren't actually happening like they're supposed to be. He's talking shit about Ueberroth in the papers. He's basically like, this is a serious thing you're playing with here. Quit screwing around. Ueberroth's office responds with, "We are not concerned with what he says, only that he stays off drugs." Well, okay then, test him. It sounds like bullshit. And by the way, around this time, Ueberroth says something else that is undeniably completely bullshit. He says that the owners are definitely not colluding against the players. It's impossible, he says. It's just a conspiracy, he says. As it turns out, Ueberroth actually helped orchestrate collusion. He
Okay,
is completely
that's,
full of shit. This, very briefly, is how collusion works. Under normal circumstances, free agent Lonnie Smith can test the open market. Teams compete for his services, and that allows him to earn what the market says he's worth, right? But here the owners gang up, and they say, hey, let's all agree to not compete with each other, all right? Let's save some money that way. So they do Lonnie's old team a solid by refusing to make him any offers, and Lonnie has to come crawling back to his old team for far less money than he should have made. In retrospect, what they were doing was completely obvious. So,
Yeah.
check this out. In 2015, 132 players signed with a new team in free agency. In 1986, there were 4.
Wow.
Like, y'all are so bad at hiding conspiracies.
Wow.
Get out of this racket. Anyway, in Lonnie's case, he was making
Yeah.
$1 million with the Royals in 86, and in 87, he received one offer from Royals manager John Schuerholz for $300,000. Between the struggle to stay
Now that's,
clean, their suspension,
that's not
and
right.
his knowledge that he's completely getting played by the owners, Lonnie's pissed. His stats take a nosedive.
That's
So does he.
pretty understandable. Oh. Non-playing guidance. Wow. Wow. That sucks. Oh. What's with the guns? Okay. Okay. Is this where this is going? We were told that no one died. Oh. Okay. Well. Wow, yeah, I mean, he did say he was clumsy.
1 week later, the phone rings. Lonnie forgets all about his plan. It turns out there are two guys in baseball who still think he's worth something. Braves general manager Bobby Cox and vice president Henry Aaron. They're offering him one last shot to show up in the minors and try to work his way back. Lonnie's 32 years old at this point. He's out of shape. He's about 50 pounds heavier than he was as a rookie. During practice drills, he's throwing up on the field, having an awful time. But he keeps working at it. And by the end of 1988, after everyone thought he was done for good, Lonnie Smith is back. And now we get to talk about one of the craziest, most surprising seasons I have ever heard about in my life. We're going to score Lonnie's 1989 season in terms of wins above replacement, or WAR. Basically, this stat is a rough estimate of how many more wins a team would have had if they had this player over an average dude, all right? So, for example, if your WAR is 3, that means that your team won 3 more games than they would have if you were just some random dude. It's actually a really interesting series of calculations that blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Jam some references. Sound good to y'all? Okay, cool, let's do it.
What's it gonna be? Wow. Oh, wow. I guess it's not the best ever, but 8.8 is pretty damn good. Okay. Well.
It's 1991, and amazingly, Lonnie Smith has a shot of winning a World Series with his 4th team. He is playing his ass off.
Harper held the ball.
Yeah, I know, he was out. I don't care. That was the hardest hit I've seen a catcher take, maybe ever. It was one of countless.
Let's do that again.
moments from the
Yeah,
season
wow.
Two teams, the Braves and Twins, that had finished dead last the year before. This was the greatest World Series ever played, before or since. And
He just
Lonnie
tackles
was
that guy.
doing shit. In Game 3, he hit a deciding home run.
Lonnie Smith hits it well. There's another run for Atlanta.
And another crucial home run in Game 4.
Here's Lonnie hitting one a ton to tie it.
And another home run in Game 4.
Hits it deep. There she goes.
Lonnie is now the second player in history to hit home runs in 3 consecutive World Series games. The other was Reggie Jackson. This is completely ridiculous. Lonnie is not a home run hitter. He's finished a season with double-digit homers once in his entire career. He only hit 7 during the regular season. That's an average of 1 every 60 at-bats. During this World Series, he's averaging 1 in 10.
Almost half as many
Still have not talked
as
about
during the whole
part
season.
that everybody remembers Lonnie Smith for. They don't remember him for the Pigeon Toes, the Philly Fanatic, the Coke Benders, the Bottles, all the World Series rings, the Murder Plot, one of the greatest comebacks ever, or the World
The
Series home
murder
run.
plot.
Nope, it's this shit.
Okay.
Maybe if I try to separate myself a little and walk through a play-by-play first, I can then watch the video and it'll be easier for me. I'm going to try that. Okay, so Game 7 is a scoreless tie. Lonnie Smith leads off the top of the 8th against Jack Morris, who is pitching the game of his life. But Lonnie still manages to hit his way on with a single. Next up is Terry Pendleton, the National League MVP, and what follows is his agonizingly long at bat. Like, it only lasts 5 pitches, y'all, but it takes 5 minutes. Like, if every at bat lasted that long, baseball games would take like 7 hours to conclude. But finally, Terry breaks through and blasts one to a deep left center, and Lonnie's got wheels. On a hit like this, he can round the bases and score easy. He takes off for second, and then he stands there.
Oh.
Lonnie's lost the ball. He doesn't know where it is.
Ah.
The enduring legend here is that the second baseman, Chuck Knobloch, faked like he had the ball. Lonnie's denied this several times over, and I believe him. I don't think he was faked out. I mean, Lonnie was looking toward the outfield after rounding second. He knew it wasn't in the infield. I mean, Lonnie just lost track of the ball, that's all. And then he stood there for like 8 or 9 years. Terry is screaming at him to run. Finally, he does, but by this time it's too late. He has to stop at third. He can't score. But hey, y'all know what? It's all good. It's all good.
Is it all good?
Yeah, there's men on second and third. It's still a tie, and the Braves have 2 guys coming up next who both received MVP votes this year. This is great. They've got
Yeah, this doesn't end well.
Fuck. Ron Gant dribbles to first. The runners can't advance. David Justice is intentionally walked. Sid Bream grounds into a double play. The inning's over. The game remains scoreless heading into extra innings. The Twins win it in 10. Atlanta loses the greatest World Series that has ever been played.
Wow.
It is completely unfair that Lonnie Smith goes down in the books as the man responsible. I mean, completely unfair. They should have scored anyway. But, I mean, that was Lonnie's career, right? Struggle after struggle, wrong after wrong. Some were his fault and some were unfair. Sometimes the world just kind of conspired against him. Okay, let's watch it. All right, it's a good lead, good jump.
Let's see
He's going to
this.
go to second. He can go! Fuck! Go! Shit! Oh.
That's some real rage.
Holy shit. Fuck. Ah, fuck. Oh my god. Hey, did I tell you all about this part?
Oh.
Like the John Schultz part? Are you sure we didn't talk about that? We didn't talk about. Okay, hold on. So basically, what we've got is John Schultz becoming the Braves general manager like 2 years after Lonnie Smith went to the Braves. So like John Schultz followed him, and now they're coworkers. And
That must be awkward.
knows that Lonnie Smith tried or plotted to murder John Schultz.
So now we've got basically the most awkward work environment ever.
Yeah.
Lonnie doesn't want to murder John Schultz anymore. He just
Well, good.
wants to avoid him. Schultz, for his part, has no idea about the murder plot or any of that stuff, but he knows Lonnie doesn't like him at all, so I guess they just kind of stay out of each other's way. But for like 2 years, how do you avoid talking to your boss for like 2 years?
I
In
don't
an
know.
interview since then, Lonnie talked about how like he'd duck behind a corner whenever Schultz was walking down the hall. If he saw him in a room, he'd pull a 180 and go the other way. Break room politics must have been a completely distorted. But then, of course, in '91, the Braves had to go and clinch the NL West. It's the first time they've had something to celebrate in years and years. So, of course, that means a big locker room celebration. Everybody's around. Lonnie and Schultz pretty much have to be there, and they can't not interact, right? Go get him, Lonnie.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I'm kinda over getting told to throw my hands up in the air. So there. I'm kinda older than I was when I rebelled without a care. So
Tame
there.
Impala.
We live in cities you'll never see on
Of course, NWA.
pretty, but we sure know how to run
Dr. Lonnie Smith, as we were told. Who is this? I forget. The War on Drugs. Gary Rafferty? Oh, this is Lord. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I should know. The voice. Pretty distinctive. Alright. Well, that was pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know how this video... This just seems outside the scope of my channel usually, but... But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was interesting. I didn't know any of this before. I mean, as said, I do follow baseball to an extent, but I don't really know, like, that much about, like, the history. I mean, I've heard of some famous players, obviously, but I I definitely didn't know this. I didn't know anything about Lonnie Smith, and now I do, and it was presented pretty damn well. I mean, yeah, he told the story in a pretty interesting way, and it was cool. It was there was a lot to this guy, a lot of interest. Yeah, and yeah, it was just pretty well done. The narration and yeah, the part with that was just like edited, that was good too. Like with the music and just the text, that was very smoothly edited and pretty good as well. So yeah, good video. Different, but yeah, pretty good. Anyway, hope you liked the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next one.